I do that, just out of respect, maybe I can ask former Prime Minister, who is a beneficiary of education in this country, to just make some few comments.
This is an ambush. Oh, guten Morgen. Wie geht's euch? Good. Thank you very much. You know, I live in this country as a young person. I studied here, therefore I understand German culture and city very well. I know Witze, Deutsche Witze. So, but I'm coming here basically because you know that I'm running for the chairmanship of African Union. And that's why our trip here has coincided. But then I was also very happy to have the opportunity to see so many young people here living in Deutschland. And I know the kind of challenges that people face in living here. See, when I arrived here, I was a very young boy, and it was in winter. And when we arrived, I saw the trees. I thought all these trees are dry because there are no leaves. I just thought that all these trees are just dead. Until spring came. But that was one of the coldest winter. For the last 50 years, there never been a winter like that one. And it lasted until May, so that institutions ran out of coal. Those were using coal at that time. They're not coming with the steam heating and now electric. So a number of institutions were closed because of that. And we would actually go and get coal, we packed and we take it in the oven, we light the oven so that we get the room to be a bit warm and habitable. Then I made so many German friends at the time I was living here. And then I went back. And then, but at that time, you know, Germany was divided, east and west. And but the good thing is that if you are Kenyan, you had no problem, because you did not need a visa to go to West Germany. You did not need a visa to go to Britain. But you needed a visa to transit. Like when I was going to Britain from Germany, I had to get a Dutch transit visa and a Belgian transit visa. Because if you did not have it, at the border they would remove you from the train and put you back to another train going back to where you came from. These days, you just need a Schengen visa. And you can travel across the whole of Europe. You see? This is what I'm saying. And this is a problem that we have in Africa. Because in Africa we still have a lot of problems. Aliko Dangote was saying that for him to travel across Africa, he needs 35 visas. But his French competitor does not need a visa to travel across Africa because he's got a French passport. But with a Nigerian passport, you need a visa to travel to any African country. A shame. It's a big shame. So, but let me now get back to Kenya. In Kenya, we have what we call a demographic dividend. Because we have a large percentage of our population which are young. Over 70% of our population are below the age of 35. So we have got a youth dividend. But this thing here, it can be either a blessing or a curse. the youth can be either a blessing or a curse. If you don't empower them through opportunities for education to acquire skills, they become basically failures. They become delinquents, drug addicts, criminals. So they're basically a burden onto society. But if you impart skills on these youths so that they are able to do work here and there, then they become a motive force for development. That's why we all the time laid a lot of emphasis on education, from ECD through primary to secondary to university education. So you're here, and you're here and you're working because you got the education opportunity to learn. But see, what we are having in Africa again is lack of opportunities. Lack of opportunities to employ these youth. I mentioned the other day that it's a shame that currently you find African children drowning in the Mediterranean, trying to reach Europe. To them it's a greener pastures. They're escaping poverty. They're escaping lack of employment back on the continent of Africa. It's a shame. We need to create an enabling environment for these youth to be able to get employment in Africa. But that I don't mean that it must only work for companies in Africa. That's why the reason why I'm very happy that we are talking about people living in Kenya and working for companies in Germany. And this agreement has just been signed here between us, that Kenyans can work for German corporations when they're living there in Kenya. Okay? And then, so, in other words, instead of these people exporting labor to Africa, we're the ones who are now exporting labor where? Here. Because you see, whereas we have a youth dividends, these people have got a youth deficit here. It's an aging society. It's an aging society. You have a situation where you've got an inverted pyramid. The base is up. The down here is now smaller. You've got a smaller population carrying the bigger population. The pensioners are more than the working population. Here, this because kwa nini hawataki kuzaa? Hawajui kuzaa siku hizi. Wengine wanaume wanaingiana na wanaume wenzao. Na kina mama vile vile hawataki. Wanakaa na unaifu peke yao. Sijapinga hii mambo hii ya ushoga, lakini sijaunga mkono vile vile. So now, what I'm saying is that there are opportunities for our people. And that's why I'm so happy that the government has signed an agreement here with the government of Germany, so that our people who are living here can live and work here properly without exploitation. This is very, very important, because this is an agreement that is signed between this government and many other governments in Europe. In fact, EU has got regulations about mobility of labor and how this, those people migrating from one country to another country are to be treated. So this is what we want also to happen to our people, our Kenyan people, so that Kenyans who live out here feel protected and they cannot be exploited by anybody. So I'm going to the AU if I'm like to be employed to go and work for Africa, to ensure that we can be able to create an environment for Africa to grow. First, we want to promote inter-African trade, because Africans are spending too much time looking for markets for their goods, and they're being sometimes offered very unequal terms. But yet there's a market in Africa that they can use to market those goods. Second, we don't want Africa to remain just a supplier of raw materials for the industrial West. We want to have value addition taking place within Africa itself, so that we can create employment for our people in Africa. Africa is the richest continent in the planet Earth in terms of raw materials. All the industrial raw materials that you use in these countries, most of them come from Africa. Africa was the origin of iron and steel manufacturing. The first mankind to use iron tools was in Africa. Africa made iron before the Europeans. When the Europeans were still in the Stone Age, Africans were already using iron at that time. So Africa can actually claim its position on the planet Earth. It's a paradox that the richest in resources is also the poorest in terms of living conditions of its people. So we must change this. So inter-African trade. The other one is the issue of climate change. Climate change is a major challenge. You can see how the Africans living now between drought and floods. That's how we live now in Kenya. Mafuriko, pande nyingine, ukame, na njaa yote inakuja na hiyo yao yote. Lakini Africa itself is not the offender. The offense is coming from here. You guys are fortunate to have come here when now they're cleaning the environment a little. When I used to live here in Europe, in Germany, if you wash your clothes and hang it there in the window, it's a white cloth, tomorrow it will be brown. Because the air was all polluted with industrial waste. So these places are all burning, coal and diesel and so on and so forth. So the people who have actually polluted the environment are here. But Africa is a victim. And Africa therefore needs to get proper compensation for what it's doing. Because we also have one of the biggest carbon sinks in the world that helps remove carbon from the environment. That is another issue that we want to deal with when we go there. The issues of health, the issues of security, the issues of education, and so on and so forth. So this is why I say that let me take leave for a while from Kenyan politics, ili nifanye siasa huko Afrika. Niende nisiende? Niende nisiende? Okay. Now let me finish by, when I was down here, we used to as students, we used to meet. Sometimes we used to go along and celebrate and so on and so forth. Okay? And sometimes we used to sing. Okay? Shall I sing? Yes. The Germans, when they went to Hawaii, is very far. And they went there, they found that Hawaii was too hot and too hot. You know, the Germans like their beer. You know, is that not true? Then when they entered, they found there was no beer in Hawaii. So they said, no, I will never go back to Hawaii. This is too hot. Okay? So it goes like this. Es gibt kein Bier auf Hawaii, es gibt kein Bier. Du fahre ich nicht nach Hawaii, du bleibe ich hier. Es ist so heiß auf Hawaii, kein cooler Fleck. Den Hula, 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 Gänsches gibt's es nicht. Wenn es so weitergeht, bis morgen früh, sind wir in Alkohol bis an die Knie. Wir machen das bis morgen früh und singen Pum, Swalala, Pum, Swalala, Pum, Swalala, Pum, Swalala.